podcast number 19.
Wow. 19.
Wow. And today's guest, who I've wanted on for a while, but there's never been like a good time, and there was an election, and, you know, all kinds of stuff going on. Joe Batcheller, president of Downtown Sioux Falls. Or is it CEO? I don't know what they call you.
President.
El
Jefe. Whatever.
I figured you're president because, okay. And then, of course, co-host whose name we will not speak, and Robert.
Hello.
And we haven't been here for a while. We're kind of the bad kids of the podcast community with Sioux Empire Podcast. We kind of like take 1 week off, and then we go, let's take another week off.
It turns into 2 weeks. That was nice.
It turns into 3 weeks.
I just figured you guys were going for the summer.
Yeah. And, you know, we're kind of lazy, so sometimes.
Most times.
Most times.
There was a summer we were pretty dedicated for a week and a half and went riding on the bike trails in the morning, but...
We did that for about 2 weeks?
2 weeks, and then one day it rained, and the next day it was like, the mosquitoes are going to be out. And then the third day we're like, are we doing this anymore? We're like, no.
Yeah, it was too early, I think.
It was. That was...
So, Joe, before we go into the big announcement today, you've been with Downtown Sioux Falls now for, 2 years?
No, it's been 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, I had my 3-year anniversary last week.
And you're from Sioux Falls originally.
Right.
Grew up here. And then your wife and you moved, and you were a city planner in...
Most recently in Vail, Colorado.
Vail, yeah.
So that was a great experience. Mm-hmm. I think most people are familiar with Vail. There's a lot of money there. It's a resort community.
Yeah.
They kind of pride themselves on being the premier resort community of North America. And so saw some amazing development in Vail. A lot of what they call condo-tels, mixed-use developments. And so that gave me some really good perspective coming here to Sioux Falls. And some stuff that's on a very similar scale with Sioux Falls, actually, geared towards a different audience, but still, we're still talking about the same kind of type of developments.
And you rolled in on this job after the last mayor saved downtown. Yeah, no comment. That's fine.
I didn't get my.
But you've been kind of fortunate that over the past 3 years, downtown has really taken off. I mean, even more. I mean, lots of development.
Right.
We're building a hotel. They're finally finishing Phillips to the Falls, or whatever you want to call that. The Levitt shell's going in, which is super exciting, and we're so lucky to get that. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sioux Steel just announced that they're going to have their own private little thing going on there, and then of course the downtown thing. But what have you seen over the past 3 years that you go, besides all those great things, where you see why downtown has become so popular? Because, it's like I said to someone, I used to go down on First Fridays, and it would be crowded. But now it's like you can't even walk on the sidewalk. It's so crowded.
That was the most recent one. They have over 3,000 people show up.
Yeah.
Huge.
So, why is downtown so popular now? I think that it's kind of this... It's been this slow build towards it that's been happening... well before I came around.
Early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, it really did start
Carol,
with...
and I remember when she was
Carol.
pounding on doors. And
yeah, absolutely.
it was Zambros and Minerva's and Tina's downtown, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then
those are kind of the mainstays.
Zambros.
You've got a few others. Sticks and Steel has been around for a long time as well. A little bit more recent than Zambros. But, I look at the development of downtown... And it started with the vision for Phillips to the Falls that led to doing something about the Loop and then investing in arts and culture. Mm-hmm. And laying the seeds for that has really been transformative for downtown. With arts and culture, we've got the Washington Pavilion that I think it was in, I want to say late 98 that opened up.
It's been open 18 years, I think.
Yeah.
So it's
about 2000.
98, 99. Yeah, you're probably right. I worked there the first 4 years it was open, and I can't even remember.
Yeah. So that was. It was hard for people to at first to see the value in the Washington Pavilion, and I think it would be hard to say that it hasn't been a value add for the community to have that as a cultural institution.
It brought, as I've said to people, it brought more restaurants downtown. And the reason I say that is because when the pavilion opened, there was more than 3 restaurants, but there was basically 3 restaurants you would go eat at before you would go to a show. And that was Minerva's, Christina's, and Touch Europe.
Yeah. Opened in 1999.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Touch Europe was the only restaurant that was open after the shows were done. So Tina's and Minerva's would close at 9.
Yeah.
And so we'd have this huge crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And before the shows we'd have a monster crowd because people would try to get into Minerva's without making a reservation. They couldn't get in. We always joke Touch Europe was the overflow.
Yeah.
So when people could get in Minerva's or Tina's, they'd come down to our place. So we were the only 3 restaurants, and I think the pavilion really brought in a lot of new restaurants downtown.
Yeah,
shows.
absolutely.
But there's been so many things that have made downtown successful. Like you said, it's a combination of a lot of things.
Sculpture Walk is another one I would put out there. Sculpture Walk has done wonders for, transforming the vibrancy of the street life. It's something that is as simple as a sculpture, bringing complete strangers together, talking to one another like they've known each other forever about this piece of art, and it just creates this kind of delightful experience. And
love the Sculpture Walk.
Yeah, it just creates a something to discover for folks. So
there's a lot of people that do come to town and come downtown just to go look at sculpture.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a guy that came in from, I think he was from Austria, and he was going down to Vermilion for the National Music Museum, and he commented on Sculpture Walk and was like, I think I'm going to come back every year for this now. So, investing in arts and culture has been huge for downtown. But the other thing that is happening is it's a national trend, and you see a lot of baby boomers have become empty nesters. They don't want to mow their yard anymore. They want to have sort of this infusion of vibrancy in their life, and so they're looking for an urban experience. And then millennials, on the kind of the other end of the demographic spectrum, are for various reasons they don't necessarily have as much opportunity as their parents did.
Yeah.
They can't afford to have, if they're married, they can't afford to have 2 cars all the time. So they want to live where maybe they can get by with 1 car. They're more interested in experiences than buying products. And so downtowns are well suited for millennials. And so that's the national trend that's happening. There's this interest in urbanization once again. Our cores hollowed out in really starting in the 50s, and that trend reversed just within the last decade. And that's what you're seeing happen in downtown Sioux Falls. So I like to think I'm pretty good at what I do, but I've been very fortunate, and I attribute a lot of downtown's success to these trends that have been going on. And so for my job, I'm just trying to make sure that we celebrate it as much as we can, and try to stay out of the way of success and foster it along however we can.
There still is, though, and I just thought about this. There still is a lot of misinformation about downtown.
Oh yeah.
For instance, there was a lot of people who complained that Hot Harley Nights wasn't going to be downtown this year. And I had to explain to a lot of people, and then after I told them, they can't have it downtown because the Levitt is all torn up and there's no place to have it.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, so it's going to be back down? And I go, yeah, they're going to move it back downtown again. And so that's some misinformation. And then we had Nome in the primary talk about the violent crime rates downtown. Now, the one thing that I won't disagree with her on is that there is a circle around downtown, you have to admit. There is a circle around downtown that is not as safe as downtown. But the way she didn't clarify herself on that when she said that. So I'm not defending her, and that was not very appropriate. It was a very horrible thing to say.
Well, on that, I will just say that, there are other parts of the core of Sioux Falls that get attributed to being downtown. Mm-hmm. And, that's downtown is a lot safer. There are neighborhoods around
downtown that are not that good.
Downtown is a lot safer than some of those other neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a function of the critical mass that we have downtown. Mm-hmm. So many people downtown. You have so many more eyes on the street. And, I think that's a large part of it. You talk to people if they feel safe downtown. Absolutely, mm-hmm. they do. The crimes that happen downtown mm-hmm. tend to be around drunken, disorderly conduct, tend to be, there have been some trespassing instances and shoplifting. And so, by and large, it's not violent crime.
Right.
This is like, these are petty crimes.
Right.
When there is a violent crime that happens, a lot of times it is outside of downtown. Mm-hmm. Here's an example of what frustrates me. There was a person who was stabbed in an alley, supposedly, and reported widely on the media outlets. And turns out that this was a person who had some mental health issues and stabbed herself. And and we never heard anything else about it. Yeah. It was put out there in the media, and then there was no sort of nothing
this just
to tie. No, this was about 2.5 years ago.
2 years ago already.
Yeah.
Okay.
So technically, there was a stabbing.
Yeah, technically there was.
Technically,
we know who the perp was, though.
Yeah.
Don Jorgensen said, "We don't have to issue a retraction." Technically, they were right.
Well, it's funny you say that because it kind of goes back to the Pomp Room deal. How the Pomp Room got this bad rap because there was a stabbing, but the stabbing occurred in the parking lot of the library. But everyone said, well, it happened at the Pomp Room, and it's like, it didn't happen.
It happened near the Pomp Room.
The Pomp Room kicked those guys out because they were arguing and whatever else, and the stabbing occurred in the parking lot across the street,
Here's the thing about violent crime, too, that also is kind of frustrating, is that a lot of times it happens between people who know each other. And people,
totally.
There's this fear of the other, and people like to attribute that to, these urban places, downtowns, and, go downtown, you're going to get mugged and stabbed, and that's not the case. If you're afraid of a stranger assaulting you, it's more likely going to be someone that you know, and someone probably it's going to happen in your neighborhood or, within a mile of your house. That's typically how violent crimes work. So
I've been waiting for some women I know to assault me, but it's not. But I don't know. I must be doing something wrong. Maybe I should hang out downtown all night and just wait.
You
just
do.
lay on the ground.
You do.
Yeah, just wait.
I know
wait for them to assault me.
When my wife and I first moved back to the Sioux Falls area from Brookings, we lived downtown for a couple of years, and we walked everywhere downtown. Felt completely safe, and now we live. How many blocks away do we live?
Very close.
Very close. 7 blocks?
6 blocks.
6 blocks away.
6 blocks, yeah.
Summertime in the fall. The only time that I've ever gotten scared or jumped was after the Halloween parade.
You got jumped?
No, I jumped. Like, physically, I jumped. It's amazing. This is the only time I've ever felt frightened walking home late at night from downtown. Scott and I had gone out after the Halloween parade. We enjoyed some beverages. Had a nightcap at the Top Hat, went our separate ways. I put on the Lore podcast because it's Halloween, and they were talking about Robert the doll, the hay stuffed doll that would come alive. And as they were talking about how it would move and sound, a rabbit or a squirrel jumped under some leaves, and I freaked out. My heart rate spiked.
What are you doing listening to that stuff? Drunk, walking by yourself on Halloween?
Because I didn't want to hear the footsteps come up behind me.
Ignorance is bliss, right?
Right. No, but that's like, downtown is safe, and it's walkable even.
They used to have, before they tore up Fairwick Park, they used to have, I lived in the Ronning apartments there, And I'd go to the pomp room, and I'd walk to the pomp room, and I would walk back to my apartment. And I'd always walk through Faywick, and they'd have a powwow going on, man. I mean, like a powwow going on in Faywick Park.
Huh.
And there's just the lines of picnic tables, and they'd have cases of beer sitting out, and they'd just be pounding beers and 4 a.m, just having a good old time.
Yeah.
It was pretty. It wasn't unsafe, but it wasn't a crowd that you'd probably want to hang out with.
Yeah, it was a little. I'm sure it was a little
time.
intimidating.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you got
You know,
this group of people that have kind of taken over a space, and you know, you're going to be a little intimidated to walk up there.
So that was always interesting.
Yeah, I really liked the old Faywick Park. I remember going there as a kid, but there was a lot of places where you could hide in there.
Faywick was yes.
There was not good visibility.
The majestic forest, I used to call it.
Yeah,
because you could there is a lot of places that and it was the tree cover was so thick that
you couldn't see through there at all.
You couldn't see through there at all. You could walk into Faywick Park
and disappear.
Pretty much because it was surrounded by
at?
trees. Where David is.
David is.
Oh, okay.
Was it Falls
And the
Park
reason
like
they
that too?
tore it up is because there was a gasification.
Yeah.
Sorry. There was a gasification plant there. So they got a grant from the EPA, and they basically, do you remember, you were living here,
Yeah.
they had to dig a fucking hole, and I mean,
you
know how the park goes down like that?
Yeah, it's like a crater.
They had to build this wall for the water, for the river to go around, and they dug a fucking hole in the ground to pull up all this gasification in a well. And then they rebuilt the park. And then there was the big debate about, if they were going to put David back. And it's like, why wouldn't you put him back? That's where he's been.
So David was hiding in the forest the whole time?
Yeah.
David, you couldn't barely see him.
It's true.
Like, the trees were so high that all you can see is his head usually.
Yeah, you look at pictures of him from the 70s and 80s, and there's always a tree branch
and
in the
his
way.
back was to the viaduct.
Yeah.
He was turned the other way.
A branch in the way in sort of the Austin Powers gag sense.
Yeah. Yes. And the other thing is that the big mystery, I don't know if you ever heard me talk about this, Joe, but is Faywick was really pissed off because he had to buy the base for this, it's 9 tons or something like that. I can't remember what David weighs.
Yeah.
And he had to buy the base for this. Well, of course, this is 1970. It's a $200,000 sculpture in 1970. So, but imagine what it's worth now. And so he's like, I'm not just going to put this on a concrete block. I'm going to put this on Italian marble.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember it had the base and had the writing. And it was a black Italian marble that he bought.
Oh yeah.
And to this day, people have asked, like, when you took David down, where did that base go? And nobody knows.
Huh. Yeah, I wonder if it's like hidden in some lot somewhere.
Well, yeah. I have a fishy feeling somebody has it.
No,
it ain't hanging out in a lot.
That's funny. I never remembered that until you just said that. But yeah, I remember it had the black Italian marble. It had gold leaf inlaid lettering. Yeah. So interesting. I wonder if we'll ever
everyone
come across that.
People asked Hanson about it. They're like, where's that at? And everyone kind of like scratched their heads. Like, and then he was hiding. You remember the big controversy?
Oh yeah.
They had him in a lot.
Yeah.
They had him in a park slot laying. Well, of course they had him laying down. They were going to have him standing up.
Taking a nap.
He was taking a nap, and everyone was mad about it. It's like, he's been outside since 1970. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
Laying in the lot.
He needs a rest.
It's going to be okay.
But the park had been done for like, I don't know, a year or something like that?
2 or 3 years before they redid it.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
I was at the unveiling, the re-unveiling. I took a bunch of pictures.
Maybe they were trying to find the base during that
right
time.
Yeah. So the big announcement today.
Yeah. Big news.
Big news, and we talked a little bit before the show. David,
by the way, you're going to be breaking this to me because I have not read anything about downtown today.
David and Erica...
They're going to put a dome over all of downtown.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, breaking news.
Or shorts all year long.
And guess who's paying for the dome?
Mexico?
Denny Sanford.
Tea?
No. No, so...
Lincoln County.
when this whole thing came about where we were going to get the land, I had met with David, and I've known David and Erica Billion for a long time. I've known Erica since I moved here. Met her through work and some other stuff. And she used to be an artist. I'm pretty sure you know that.
Yep.
Big promoter of the arts. So I met with David and Erica right after this whole railroad deal happened with cameraman Bruce. Bruce had some old maps of the railroads. David and Erica were trying to figure out exactly what this space was going to be. Mm-hmm. And they said to me at that time, God, this is probably a year, 2 years ago, that they were very interested and they were going to submit an RFP for this. So it's no surprise that they were awarded it. And of course they won the RFP for the land that 4 acres. It's 10 acres total. They got 4 acres next to the 8th and Railroad building. The space to the east. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're going to build one building, and that'll be done by 2020, and that'll be a 6-story building, residential. And then they're going to build another building that has to be done by 30 or something like that, I guess is the plan. And my question to you is on this is
very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the pictures of it yet?
No.
Oh, you can go to Argus, Sioux Falls Business. Sioux Falls Business has a video on a lot of it. I'd go there to see the pictures. It's really good. And the question I have in this whole matter, and I know they've discussed this, is to build residential there, you're going to have to create a quiet zone with the trains because the trains are still running, and they will be still running. So, is there gonna be a plan? Do you think? I mean, just your opinion that they're gonna do gated? They're gonna gate those on 8th and 6th Street, instead of doing the Whistle. Rapid City's
I would hope they would.
Rapid City's doing it now in their downtown.
Yeah, and so Bismarck, North Dakota, recently was got their quiet zones. I think that they got either all the funding in place or they've been it's been created. So I think it's got to be done. I think it's livability. It's a livability issue for downtown. I think that our downtown residential numbers are going to be hamstrung if we don't do anything about that. And I've heard 2 different stories out there with what the rules and regulations are with quiet zones, that you have to do all the city or that you can do part of the city. And from what I understand, you can do part of the city. You don't have to do all of the city. But for the most part, we'll be pretty well set up to do downtown. I don't think we'll have to. I mean, even if we had to do the whole city, I don't think there's too many other areas where you have to do it. Of course, it's still going to run.
We're spending millions and millions of dollars on the 26th Street Viaduct.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That
is a huge project.
For the train.
Yeah. So why can't we put a little bit of that money towards downtown? I mean, that's a project that's
spent all the $27 million on.
Yeah, I know that you've had some opinions about the deal with the rail yard, but what Bismarck did that I think is interesting, and this is going to get into an area of controversy for you, Scott.
Maybe not.
But it's and it's what Fargo did is they used tax increment financing to pay for their quiet zones, and basically what they have is we're getting a little nerdy here now, but I think that the people here
they use TIFs to pay for the
they do a district. They don't do a parcel based approach with tax increment financing. They have all of downtown Bismarck is a TIF district, and it sunsets in about 5 years. But they identify what the public benefit is going to be, and then there's a portion of the tax increment financing that goes towards that public benefit. Here in Sioux Falls.
Geez, that kind of makes sense. Actually do a study of what the TIF's going to do before you think about the TIF. Don't get me started.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of one of the things that about TIFs is there's one study about TIFs, and it's that has been cited more than any other study, and they look at the TIFs in Chicago. And I mean, we all hear, you know, what they say about Chicago politics, but the thing is with TIFs, each community is different. If you study TIFs in Rapid City, you'd probably come up with different findings than what you'd come up with for Sioux Falls.
Well, definitely, it has to do with the area.
Yeah.
I like the idea that it's a district.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not picking a favorite. If
Right.
you decide to develop in this area, you're going to get it, not because of who you are, but that's the district.
Right. So let's identify what the public benefit should be. I think quiet zones should be one of those things. I look at what we have to work with downtown with some of the streetscape elements, the street lights, the garbage cans, street trees, and you know, there's some maintenance that needs to happen with them, and we don't have a reliable source of funding in place for that maintenance. And tax increment financing possibly could go towards something like that. That's what Bozeman, Montana has done. They take a similar approach to Bismarck, where it's district-wide. They put in all new street lights that are dark sky compliant. They're energy efficient, LED, great benches and streetscape amenities, and they've got a beautiful, charming main street. And that's how they finance that sort of thing. I guess, you know, you have to decide what you want the purpose of the TIF to be. But anyway, we're getting a little bit off topic. I think to your original point, though, there definitely needs to be quiet zones.
You're going to have to. Because I live by the railroad tracks, and I know how loud it is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like this decibel.
It's obnoxious.
I just recently talked
it's
again
necessary,
to Councilor Knights here about the decibel thing downtown. And I basically said, you know, there has to be a study done, and there needs to be, you know, something done different. And because you can't treat downtown like Buchanan Park, you just can't, because it's like a cool. Thank you. And so, you know, and he says, well, we kind of dropped it for now. So I don't know if you've heard anything. I encouraged Nick Weiland to do his own study, and there was a guy from the White Wall. Hopefully, I'm not going to get myself in trouble here, but there's the sound engineer from the White Wall sessions kind of said that he could do one for him. Now, I don't know if he would volunteer to do it, or if he could do one for him that would be basically go around downtown and measure the sounds for about a week to 2 weeks straight in certain areas, and then you form a
like
chart.
A baseline.
Yeah, you form a chart
that
basically says if you stand at 12th and Phillips on a Monday between 1 and 2, this is what the decibel level is.
There are some of those readings that the police have done, and they're actually not that far off from what the limit is.
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm saying is you got to have an actual study, and let's really see what these things are, and you know the scale and everything. You can't just there's a loud band at Icon, so now all of a sudden it's the end of the effing world, you know, and it's like, well, you know. Yeah,
you know, and the thing with Icon, that situation is. Well, I don't know if I should go there or not.
Here's what I'll say. It has to do with those people having patios, and I'm just going to flat out say that because I have somebody I know who has a condo in the building, but where their condo is at is they have west windows too, but they have windows. They don't have a patio, and we were sitting up in his place, and I heard a very, very, very faint siren. And I figured out it was either a fire truck or an ambulance. And I looked out his window, and I saw a police car going in front of the Coliseum. So there's a police car a block away with his full sirens on, and all I heard was barely could even hear it. So I know, and I said to him, do you think that the sound issue is because they have those patio doors over there. And he's kind of admitted, yeah, that's probably why it is.
Well, and the thing too is that before Jones 2-1 was occupied by residents,
right,
there was nobody there to notice sound before.
Right, that too. And so, and then there is the Levitt, and I'm sorry, they keep saying, well, the way that they're positioning the stage, I'm sorry. It's with the crowd there, the traffic, just the crowd and the traffic is going to produce noise.
But Levitt shows are going to, those will conclude. Those will conclude by 11 p.m. usually.
Well, yeah, and they'll be done at an early time. But all what I'm saying is for people to go, it's going to be like a bunch of bluegrass guys sitting in the grass. That's not how it's going to be. There's going to be loud bands that play it. So, and like you said, downtown, do we need some quiet zones and stuff? Sure. But there needs to be a balance, too. You can't expect to move downtown.
Right.
And go, well, it's not as quiet as when I lived on Tut Hill.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Shocker.
Yeah. Or on Charles Lane, St. Charles Lane or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, you move to downtown and you need to expect that there's going to be a little bit of social friction when you move downtown. There's different uses going on, different all walks of life downtown. And, so it just kind of goes with the territory.
Is there anything happening downtown that maybe you can't talk about yet, but something on the horizon over this next year, maybe going into 2019, that you're pretty excited about that's been kind of thrown around, or is it just kind of everything I probably know?
Well, yeah, there's a few things going on. I'll just say, with Sue Steele, I think that is something that is really exciting because we're talking, about the same area as the rail yard redevelopment, but this is all contiguous, and it's more compact. It's less kind of spread out than the BNSF rail yard. So there is going to be some opportunity, or there are going to be some opportunities that present themselves with having contiguous space like that. I don't know really how much it makes sense to do a baseball stadium or a convention center. I'm thinking of it through the Risden's point of view. They're going to hold on to that land. They're not selling it to the city. So they need to do something.
Him that. You were at the meeting. I told him not to hang on to it. Do it yourself.
Oh, that's their plan.
So I told him, I said, do it privately. Don't get involved with, and if you have the money to do it privately because you're able to do what you want to do. You start getting it in. I mean, do private-public partnership make sense sometimes? Yeah, they do. I think so sometimes. But sometimes it's like there's going to be more creativity if you just let a private owner do what they need to within the rights of the zoning.
Yeah. I think that
I have tons of ideas for the space, but no one's ever. I have like a bunch of ideas. I was even gonna draw something up myself eventually, and so I had some different ideas what they could do.
There's some great potential there. I look at that receiving warehouse with the giant windows that are south facing.
You could totally make that into that into a retail courtyard.
Yeah,
where you could open up all the doors and stuff in the summertime, and have open market in there, and in the wintertime you could close it all up and still use it.
Yeah, I guess if I were, if I had a magic wand, that's what I would do. I would do some kind of public market with a food hall there. There's some great examples across the country.
You have a walk-up restaurants. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, kind of small booth restaurants. And then
all the tables are right down the center, kind of.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then you go up and you order your food and you sit down there and eat with whoever, and it's like an open thing.
It's really a small business kind of entrepreneurial type of incubator in a lot of ways. You look at Pike Place Market in Seattle, and it's the same kind of thing. Chelsea Market in New York City there's examples from coast to coast with these types of things, and it's really how a lot of businesses get started.
And it's fantastic too. Like you said, incubator. It's cool because it's almost kind of like the Jones Building.
Yeah.
It's just tiny little walk-up restaurants, and literally run by two people.
Yeah.
You have the lady pouring the pop and running the cash register and the cook, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And it's like a food court, but more of
eclectic.
Yeah, more eclectic, and then you can have other little shops in there too. But yeah, that's kind of what I envisioned for that. And then I also thought that they have to keep a park on the make a really cool park down there on the
kind of the north side
the
of
north
that
side,
property,
and then a trail leading back up to Falls Park.
Yeah, and I think there's a great opportunity for the Phase 3 of the River Greenway to really start at Falls Park and go all the way to Faywick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long stretch, but I could see a boardwalk going along Raven.
But the first thing we really need to do though is kill them fucking geese. But in a serious note, there is a way, and I've done a little research on this because everyone said we can't go and kill these. There is ways of getting rid of them.
Oh yeah.
From nesting there, and there's all kinds of different. You use loud noise. You just irritate them for several weeks, where you shoot off loud noises, and eventually they're like, fuck this, we're not hanging out in Explosionville anymore. And
there goes the neighborhood.
And they move.
I mean, just have a couple of Australian shepherds running around there. That'll take care of it.
And I'm serious, and I've been at the city about this for a while. It looks bad. We've spent millions of dollars on the river.
Gross.
We've spent, $11-12 million already on the River Greenway.
Yeah.
And the whole fucking thing is covered with goose shit. It is. It's covered with goose shit.
Yeah, there's some spots that are really bad.
And it's literally all summer long. It's not, the geese don't take a break and go, oh, this week we're not going to shit on the trail. They don't give a fuck.
Well, part of it, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't want to upset the city.
And I know it's a park. I know it's a park.
Yeah, it's Riverfest. I'm going to go over here instead.
Yeah. But I know it's a Parks and Rec thing that they have to take care of. But literally, there is things you can do to get rid of them and move them.
Well, one thing we could do is create some natural buffer strips along there. I mean, we can let natural grasses grow between the bike trail and the river, and it creates a great filter, too, for the river, a natural filter. I mean, we've, in 10 years, if we don't have a swimmable Sioux River in 10 years, shame on us. I mean, that is just a great natural amenity that we need to invest in and celebrate.
It's swimmable, but I don't know if you want to swim in it.
Well, if you want to swim in it without puking afterwards, But
we were just talking about on the drive over here about how, as I understand it, the EPA or the state.
Well, we were discussing how to keep people
out of the water, and I've often suggested, because the EPA said
there's the kids
they wanted to put up a sign. They wanted to put a sign up. They wanted the last administration to put a sign up that basically warned about the E. coli levels in the river, and the former mayor Bucktooth and Bullcut wouldn't do it, and because he didn't want to scare people. But as I've told city councilors, we were having a discussion on the way over here. I've told city councilors, put up a sign that basically says, this is dangerous to your health to get into this water, and that will be more to deter people than
rapids.
Yeah, although I don't know if too many 14-year-old kids are going to care that much.
I'll tell you what, I saw them down by Tut Hill Park, or that area that's kind of, the water's not very deep there. It's about 2 to 3 feet deep. And I saw these teenage kids down there. Last summer I was riding my bike by. They were in the river. Yeah. They were up to here, up to about their waist. And they were throwing frisbees and playing in the water. And I go, what are you guys doing in there? Because all they had was trunks on. And they're like, well, we're playing frisbee.
When did you become a curmudgeon?
I was worried about them. I'm like, and they looked like local kids. They didn't look like...
Maybe they were going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about
they were. They were throwing frisbees back and forth. And I said, that is that is get out of that water and go home and take a shower. I said, that is like the most polluted, one of the most polluted rivers in the Midwest. They're like, what? I'm like, it's high levels of E. coli. Nobody ever told you any of this? And they all looking at me like, and say they're like grumpy old man, but they also are like, kind of icking out.
The one that
like,
just
oh my
his
God.
mouth and spit it at
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Just been like, ugh.
Yeah.
And they got out. They walked out, and they were like looking at each other, and I'm like, that's disgusting. Yeah.
Just tell them to go home and YouTube videos of what happens to guys when they swim in rivers. They'll end up on some of the terrible ones from South America.
Well, I know my dog drank it one time, and yeah, he had the shits for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And dogs usually have a pretty good digestive system where they can kind of digest that better than human beings, but yeah. Anyway, but you're right. You're right. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done on the cleanup side, and that was one of the things that a lot of people talked about when we invested $13 million into the River Greenway. Everyone's like, "Well, that's all well and nice that we're making the banks look good, but what about the damn river itself?" You know?
Yeah.
And you know, I suggested a filter dam. They're expensive. They can run about $50 million.
You can actually do really cheap ones, though.
You can, though, too. Yes, and I've looked into that. They're portable.
Yep.
You can move them.
Yep.
And they work.
Yeah.
They filter. But there's a lot of maintenance with them, but I mean, it works. And, you know, it's a lot of times you kind of scratch your head and go, what are our priorities sometimes? Because there's certain things that we could do, and, you know, we decide we're going to spend money on this instead. And we're like, okay.
Well, cleaning up's going to take a comprehensive statewide effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it does. I mean, we know why it's shitty, because
the
cows are shitting in it. Yeah. And fertilizer runoff and pesticide runoff, and I can't even imagine the soup, what that is.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean,
phosphates and poop.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, you ask, like, what, a little bit about my vision for downtown. That's kind of one of the cornerstones right there. I think that absolutely needs to be a priority. I look at a lot of other cities. Denver has done a great job with the South Platte. There's people swimming and playing in that. They've got a park where you can wade out into the river.
Oh, wow.
There's kayakers surfing in the river. So that it'd be great to see that sort of activity, that sort of interaction with our river in downtown Sioux Falls. But I want to get back to sort of the vision aspect of things. With downtown, there's nothing in the works, but I would love to see. I look at like Bilbao, Spain. They've got it before 1998, I think it was. Bilbao was a sleepy town in northern Spain. Nobody ever went there. And they built the Guggenheim Museum. This beautiful piece of architecture that Frank Gehry designed, houses some amazing works of art, and their tourism numbers increased by 2,500%.
Holy.
Yeah. And we've got something like 14 million.
It's a beautiful
people.
city. I know what you're talking about.
They've got that spider sculpture right out front on the riverfront.
Well, that's unsettling.
I think. Well, yeah, you get scared by rabbits running in leaves.
It's not goose shit.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, if we could have a kind of a statement, a building like that's a statement architectural piece like that.
You know, if we put swords across the Baghdad and across the river,
we're doing that.
Oh,
yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, it's coming. No, I mean the Arc of Dreams is going to be an attraction. I can see a lot of tour buses coming off.
I talked to Mike Costanza on 4th of July about it. I've known Mike for a long time. I used to work for him. And yeah, I ran into him on 4th of July, and he was telling me October, I think, is when they're planning on putting it up.
Yeah,
and he had visited where they're putting it together and was telling me all about it, and so that's cool. Plus, you got to let those pylons. I watched them. I always ride my bike by there.
Right.
You got to let the pylons set.
It's something like 60 micropiles per pedestal.
And you got to let those set. before you put anything to them and whatever else. But anyway, yeah, that's a landmark downtown, and but
So
the
what
river
would-
really is.
What would you want to house in a piece of
I don't.
architecturally interesting?
Some kind of. I think we need to shoot for the moon here, and I think we're really good at dreaming big in Sioux Falls, and I mean, why not go for a world-class museum, something on the scale of a Smithsonian? I think that we can do that. We have the capability. We've got enough people in the community that would support that, not just in terms of attending, but in actually putting the dollars up to be able to do something like that.
I think that Sioux Falls needs a natural history museum with all the kinds of dinosaurs and fossils that are around here. And
You could do a Native American museum too. You could do a lot of different things.
Native American
That would be interesting.
natural
actually.
history museum. It would be wonderful.
Yeah. So
And we're called Sioux Falls. We're named after.
Right.
We're named after them. I mean, it would be a perfect place to have it. And if you had it downtown, it'd be wonderful. You tie it in with the falls and and everything
Right.
else. And,
So we have something like 14 million people that drive to South Dakota every year to go mostly out to the Black Hills.
right. See the hits.
We 80% from what I've heard, 80% of those people are either coming from the east on I-90 or from the south on I-29, and I think we're leaving a lot of untapped potential out there if we're not pulling them off the interstate. I think we get about 1 million people each year going to Falls Park. It'd be great to see that number doubled in the next 5 years.
Well, I don't mean to be cheeseball or anything, but they've talked about this for a long time, and I think Sanford has even actually thrown it out there finally. A water park out by the Denier in that area too. And I know what you're thinking. It's like it's not a museum or whatever, but if you pull people off to go to the water park, kids aren't going to go to the water park for a half hour. You're stuck in town.
There's gonna
Once
be
you get out to the water park,
It's got to be a big water
Right,
park, not
right.
like a lazy river and a couple
and
of
they're gonna.
slides.
And it's all year, and
Yeah.
you do an indoor one. And
Have you heard about the water park outside of Berlin, Germany?
No.
It's in an old blimp hangar, and it is massive. It's
a
like
beach.
the largest indoor structure in the world.
Doesn't Dubai have an indoor ski?
Yeah,
Dubai does have an
Yeah.
indoor.
Yeah, sorry, but yeah.
There's the world, and then there's Dubai.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I've seen pictures of that. It's pretty fucking
that's
cool.
That's
Indoor ski resort.
Yeah, yeah.
But they have a water park in an old. Wow, that's got to be huge.
Yeah, it's
I gotta look
massive.
this up now.
I think you could fit like 16 football fields in there or something.
Yeah,
like
and they
Yeah.
hauled in sand and planted palm trees and stuff like that. So it is like basically like an actual like beach, but you look up and you just see grid from the fact that you're inside of a giant Zeppelin hangar.
Yeah.
No, but I think a water park would bring people in. I mean, they'd have a reason to like because the kids are going to see a billboard, 10
Sure.
miles out of Sioux Falls, and they see that.
It's better
Let's
than-
stop at Sioux Falls. They got a water park.
It's better than stopping at the world's biggest ball of yarn.
Yeah,
No.
or the Corn Palace.
I guess I look at the progress that we've made by investing in the arts and culture,
Yeah.
and that's why I think a world class art museum
Yeah.
is would be the way to go. I say art museum. I mean
When I travel,
culture, whatever. I mean a natural history museum. Yeah.
Or we could just get the pavilion to at least make the museum free again. Let's try that one on for size,
Yeah.
I know you don't have any pull in that arena, but
Well, no, a
I've
big museum
tried.
would be good because then you can go after a lot of the cool traveling exhibits
Yeah.
around. That way we're not exporting all of our people to go up
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot
between
of
cities and
a lot of traveling exhibits. I forget what the name of it is up in Fargo, but they brought in an exhibit from Dale Chihuly of all of his amazing glass. Bellagio. They've got an art museum in there. I can't remember the collection. They brought in a private collection of all these beautiful Degas paintings, and I mean, how cool would that be in downtown Sioux Falls to be able to go see something kind of like that? I think that there's a yearning in Sioux Falls to become a little bit more sophisticated in our cultural offerings. Yet at the same time, it's kind of a little bit of an oxymoron, if you will. We're down home folks too, though. I mean, like we appreciate.
Yeah, I was thinking
it.
maybe the world's largest tractor museum.
Yeah, well, hey, yeah,
But I think that's in Waterloo. No, isn't it? Waterloo has the world's largest John Deere tractor
believe
museum.
so.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think it's a balance. I mean, I think it's a fine balance.
No, we can't.
You want to have arts and culture, but at the same time, it's like, let's not forget our roots. We've got a lot of folks that can't come in from small towns.
I remember the first iteration of Art Maze is how many people went through that, and it was just full of, like, really interesting modern art.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here, Joe, and you don't have to answer this.
Okay.
And if you really don't want to answer it, don't answer it. Because you're like, you fucker better ask me this question. What's your favorite restaurant downtown?
Yeah, that's like Sophie's Choice.
Let's rephrase it. What restaurant do you go eat at more than any other one downtown? Because you're always like, I know when I'm going to get there, and I'm always happy when I get it. I'm just kind of satisfied with this place.
I will say that we do have a lot of really good restaurants.
Yeah.
I'm pretty amazed with the progress that we made on that front. But I don't know if I'm getting into trouble here or not. But I go to MB Haskett's quite a bit.
I figured. I knew the answer.
Yeah.
I just wondered. I find myself changing. Like every couple of years, I have a new favorite spot. Mm-hmm. And my new favorite spot now is the Blarney. I love the food there.
Yeah,
That's
they do a
wonderful.
fantastic. Their bangers and mash are like the best I've ever had.
You get a free Bloody Mary on Saturday and Sunday between 10 and 2 if you order breakfast.
I mean,
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's my new favorite. Parker's has always been a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
And Bros for a while, and it's always changed. So, but yeah, Haskett's is everyone's. Seems like sometimes everyone's favorite.
So on the restaurant side of things, I was, because my wife and I, we frequent downtown, but when Mackenzie River came in, it was just sort of a moderately priced.
I liked it too.
Family-friendly restaurant, which was something that downtown really needed. We saw so many more people from the rest of Sioux Falls coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mackenzie River really did draw in people that normally didn't come down.
It's a totally different kind of restaurant for downtown Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
It's like just chain enough where people are from the south side are comfortable going.
Well, it's family friendly.
Yep.
So it's bringing in those folks, which is great. We need that. And it's not that. It's not like too hoity-toity either. It's like you're gonna go there, you're gonna get pizza and burgers. It's gonna be great.
It's a better atmosphere.
They're gonna take care of you.
Yeah, I mean it's a nicer for a franchise. It's better than a Chili's or an Applebee's, and I tell people that I'm like it's not it's a small franchise, so it's a little bit better. And their smoked old fashions are
those are really
those are good. I don't want one of those smoke machines just to have one.
Yeah,
just have all my drinks smoky. Smoky lemonades,
smoky water.
So that's a Deep Purple song.
Yeah,
if somebody was coming to Sioux Falls or coming downtown, and they only had an hour, what is the one thing that you would tell them? You have to go do this. You have to go see this. What would it be?
Go see the goose shit. It's fucking awesome.
Well, I talk about what our sort of unique features are that you're not going to find at any other downtown. And for an hour...
Or maybe they got an afternoon. They're traveling on business. They've flown in early.
Oh my!
They got a meeting the next morning. They got an entire free day to explore downtown. What's your list? First
thing I do is I recommend to try any of our restaurants. We got a lot of great restaurants, but then for your dessert, you got to go. You got to go to one of Chris Hanmer's places. He's got the best. Parlor is amazing.
Good.
CH Patisserie is amazing.
Oh my god, that is my new I've been at least once a week. I've been going there and getting ice cream. It's so fucking good. It is so good.
Yeah,
you could tell it's like homemade ice cream. Or gelato. I mean, if you've ever had gelato out of a fucking tub, and had homemade. Oh my god! I just hate their.
It's the real deal.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh
so.
yeah. Have you been there yet?
Yeah.
Oh. Frozen chocolate mousse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, go to one of our amazing restaurants. Go check out one of Hanmer's dessert places.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta, inevitably you're gonna experience Sculpture Walk along the way. And if you have time afterwards, you gotta go check out Falls Park because it's our city's namesake.
You gotta go to Zambros too, because I always tell people, even if you don't buy anything in Zambros, it's like a museum in there.
A little bit, yeah. I love going in that back room.
Oh, the back room,
man.
Yeah. I went in there he changed a bunch of stuff up again.
Yep.
I go in there about every couple of weeks, and he changed a bunch of stuff. And there's a bunch of Oddfellows jackets in there now.
Yeah, he's been getting obsessed with the Oddfellows.
He had the skull and crossbones cape.
Yeah.
Yep.
In there. Yeah. And
cool.
then he had like a Sergeant Pepper's fucking jacket. Like Sergeant Pepper's. Oh my god! I was like.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, cool.
Yeah, I would say Zambros is absolutely something that people have to experience.
They opened the same year I moved to Sioux Falls. And I used to live behind
Giggleby. 89?
91.
Oh.
And I used to live behind Giggleby's. And I would walk down there at least once a week and have quiche. They had a soda fountain.
Yeah.
And they'd serve lunch.
Yep.
And so I'd have quiche and a raspberry smoothie. And like once a week I'd try to do that.
Yeah.
And, it was pretty cool.
I love their soda fountain.
It was
beautiful.
Wonderful.
I wish that...
he had
they
a
were
lot
still
of problems
serving food
with
out
it,
there.
and he was having a lot of problems with it. Couldn't find parts for it. It's just like one of those things. But yeah. Anything else you'd like to add about downtown?
Well, DTSF is, we are the downtown leadership organization. We really try to connect, grow, and celebrate the downtown community. And one of the ways in which we do that is with our events. And we have had some amazing block parties already this summer. We've got 2 more coming up.
Blind Boys Alabama coming.
Yeah, we're
partnering.
We're partnering up with the Levitt, and they brought in the Blind Boys of Alabama.
And if you've never seen them, which I've seen them twice, they're amazing.
They're so awesome.
Yeah,
they're amazing.
Yeah, and they're actually blind.
Yeah, and they are.
I thought it was just a name.
No, they are blind.
Yeah.
They're orphan. They all met in an orphanage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can see them. They can't see you.
Yeah, they can. But they have a full, just for the record, they have a full blues band that backs them. So it's not going to be like, gospel all night long. It's full on blues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have, of course, Riverfest is our marquee event. That's coming up on August 18th.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think that is the most unique event to Sioux Falls. Just the setting right there on the river amongst the, we've got some old architecture, some new architecture. We had about, I think we figured it was about 19,000 people last year, and that's over the entire course of the event. But just a good time.
Have you been down to it?
Yeah.
It's packed.
That's when we told you we were having a baby first.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Put some little baby earplugs in her
Your
ears
wife's
and bring her on
bra broke.
down.
No, that was at the fair.
Oh.
That was at the fair. Oh, it was Riverfest, and somebody bumped into Scott with a stroller, and he kind of huffed and puffed a little bit, and my wife...
People run over me with strollers all the time in crowds. I'm just getting so fucking mad about it.
My wife made a face.
Can you see me?
What? You getting assaulted by the wrong kind of women? You being picky now?
Yeah. Yeah.
My wife makes a face, and I just said, "Oh, don't mind her. She's just upset that next year she's going to have to be driving one of these things down here."
And then her bra broke.
That's what happens.
Yes.
Well, on that note, thank you very much for coming.
Thank
Joe.
you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
a production of the SiouxEmpire.com.